some of your hardest clients are maybe those who are numbers people, mathematicians or accountants or something, right? And I'm going to assume that they probably think that they know they can figure it out on their own. They can manage their own accounts. And so my question would be, well, what's your time worth, right? And so is it still worth it to just pay somebody like you, like a financial planner, to do all that for you, so you don't have to worry about it? Like, what's your time worth?
Yeah, and I think it comes down to the individual, right? And so we work, the example we like to use a lot is engineers, right? Because they typically are very methodical. They typically have the processes in place. They do their research. They, and so they spend a lot of time. They come to us with lots and lots of different spreadsheets, with extremely complex formulas most of the time.
Do they really?
Yeah, absolutely. And so we'll look at it, and if they want to do it on their own, that's great. We'll kind of point out, did you think of this? Did you think of that? And they're like, well, I got around that by doing this. And I'm like, well, you can't really get around that, right? Yeah. I mean, that's not something that, so like somebody was using straight line inflation.
I don't pay taxes.
Right. Or tax rates will never change.
Okay.
And it's like, well, but what if tax rates do change? How does that impact all of your financial prognostication, right? All your forecasts. So it's always kind of interesting. And there's certain personalities that just are not good fits, right, for us. And life is too short to work with, to work with people that are contentious, and to work with people that are, that are always kind of battling. At the same time, we welcome the challenge. We welcome that. Sometimes those conversations are extremely stimulating and kind of fun to have on some of those conversations.
Well, yeah. How many times has someone come to you and they were managing their own money and it didn't go well, and then they finally made the call?
Lots of times. Yeah. There's plenty of times to where, a couple of things will happen. Either somebody will come to us and we'll manage part of the money, they'll manage part of the money, and then they find out that they really aren't putting as much time, effort, and energy into it as they thought, or they don't enjoy it, or they value their time more than what the cost is. And so then they end up changing directions and just kind of reviewing it and letting us manage it and kind of handing those reins over. On the other hand, you get some people that will come to us, come for advice. We'll evaluate the portfolio. We'll give them some advice, and then they'll go off and try and do it on their own for a while. And then they'll come back and see that it really, that our portfolios have changed and modified and kind of, adjusted to the times, and they're still in that static portfolio. And therefore they've lost out on some of those changes and some of that performance over time.
Okay. Well, flip side, how many times have you run into a client where you're like, oh my gosh, you're crushing, keep doing what you're doing, you don't even need us?
So I'll take this. So sometimes it's happened, right? And they'll come and they'll have a portfolio that's just like, there's just like blowing it away, right? And the question is, was that luck or is it repeatable? And, I had a client that was doing that and just multiple times, actually, I've had clients come to me and think that they've figured out like a nuance to the market, right? We do this, and we get profits. They do it over and over and over again. And unfortunately, without fail, multiple stories of this, they'll then tell their friends, they'll tell, they'll start other people getting into it. And then it'll just, they didn't know everything going on, right? They missed a piece of it and collapsed not only their portfolio, but someone else's. And so that comes down to understanding the risk, right? Rex said, we're not always right. We're wrong sometimes, and he's right. However, when we're wrong, we make sure that when we're wrong, it doesn't destroy a portfolio. We make sure that those risks are covered. And so that, one company going bad or 5 companies going bad isn't going to blow us up, right? We're going to be just fine. Understanding the risk and understanding the return is incredibly important. Because at the end of the day, if your goal is to dramatically outpace the market consistently, it just doesn't happen. If it did, everyone would do it, right?
Okay.
And so it's important to understand where return is coming from.